I spent half my life hiding because I wanted to have sex with men. Then I finally came out and discovered that I was apparently still having sex with men incorrectly. My name is Daniel. I am 62 years old. I am gay. I love men. I desire men. And I am what the gay community now calls a side. That means I am not a top. I'm not a bottom. I am not versatile. I do not want to fuck you, and I do not want you to fuck me. And before somebody concludes that I must therefore enjoy holding hands while watching the Golden Girls, let me clarify something. I love sex. I think about sex. I look for sex. I get horny. I masturbate. I have fantasies that would make my former pastor burst into flames. I love the male body, the chest, the stomach, the ass, the smell, the weight of another man pressed against me. I love kissing, sucking, touching, rubbing, licking, tasting, grabbing, and exploring. I love hearing another man lose control because of what I am doing to him. I am not sexually absent. I simply do not include anal penetration in what I enjoy. Apparently, that one missing item caused the entire gay community to misplace my application. I was married to a woman for 23 years. Her name was Susan, and I genuinely loved her. I want to make that clear because whenever a gay man says he was married to a woman, people act as if the entire marriage was an undercover operation conducted by the CIA. It was not. Susan and I built a home. We raised 2 children. We fought about money, her mother, my inability to put dirty clothes inside a laundry basket, and the universally mysterious question of who had changed the thermostat. We had heterosexual sex. Sometimes it was tender. Sometimes it was mechanical. Sometimes it was Saturday night because married people occasionally schedule intimacy with the same enthusiasm they schedule an oil change. I could perform. My penis did not look down, examine the situation, and say, "I'm sorry, Daniel, but this assignment falls outside our department." But sexual performance and sexual truth are not the same thing. I loved Susan, but I desired men. I buried that distinction because I had been taught that a good man married a woman, provided for his family, attended church, and quietly died without making anyone uncomfortable. I was very good at making everyone comfortable. Everyone except me. When I finally came out at 48, I believed the hardest part was over. I had said the words. I had survived the crying, the questions, the anger, and the silence. I had watched my wife search our entire marriage for evidence that every loving moment had been fraudulent. I had watched my children try to reconcile the father they knew with the gay man they imagined had been hiding underneath his clothes like Superman with significantly worse public relations. I thought coming out meant I was finally free. Then I met gay men. One of the first questions they asked was not, "What kind of man are you attracted to?" It was not, "What makes you feel close to somebody?" It was not even, "Would you like to get coffee?" It was, "Top or bottom?" I had just spent 48 years trying to understand who I was, and apparently the final examination had only 2 possible answers. I did not know. I had never been with a man. I did not know what my role was supposed to be. I barely knew how gay apps worked. I uploaded a photograph, entered my age, listed my height and weight, and suddenly strangers were sending me close-up photographs of body parts before they had said hello. Gay men are extremely efficient. Why waste time learning someone's last name when you can inspect his asshole under fluorescent lighting? The first man I met identified as a top. He was confident, experienced, and very certain that I must be a bottom. I was newly out, nervous, and desperate to prove that I belonged. So I agreed. I did not enjoy it. It was not a disaster. There was no ambulance. Nobody had to explain anything unusual to an emergency room nurse. But while he appeared to be having a religious experience, I was mentally reorganizing my kitchen cabinets. I kept thinking, is this supposed to feel better soon? Am I doing it wrong? Do I need to breathe differently? Should I have stretched? Is there a gay orientation seminar I somehow missed? Afterward, he told me I had been too tense. The next man said I needed more practice. Another said I had never been with a sufficiently skilled top. Apparently, my ass was not expressing a preference. It was simply waiting for the right instructor. You'll love it when you learn to relax, men told me. That sentence sounded strangely familiar. For years, straight people had told me, maybe you just haven't met the right woman. Now gay men were telling me, maybe you just haven't met the right dick. Different department, same customer service. So I tried again and again. I bought the supplies. I learned the preparation. I discovered that bottoming could require the planning skills of a military operation. You have to consider what you ate, when you ate it, what time the man is arriving, whether he is punctual, how much fiber you consume, and whether your digestive system has decided to join the Republican Party and obstruct the entire process. I kept expecting pleasure to arrive. It never did. Then I decided that perhaps I was a top. I was masculine. I could get an erection. I had penetrated a woman. Surely I could transfer those qualifications. So I tried topping. Again, I could do it, but I did not particularly want to do it. I spent most of the encounter concentrating on staying hard, maintaining a rhythm, and looking confident. He was moaning, and I was conducting an employee performance evaluation in my head. Erection remains operational. Rhythm appears adequate. Partner is making encouraging noises. Continue until further notice. I was not making love. I was trying to pass a test. The truth was almost embarrassingly simple. When anal penetration was not involved, I became more excited, not less. I loved kissing a man until we could barely breathe. I loved feeling his beard against my face. I loved pulling him against me and exploring his body with my hands and mouth. I loved oral sex. I loved mutual masturbation. I loved rubbing our bodies together. I loved taking my time. I loved discovering the places that made him tremble. But I had been taught to call all of that foreplay. Foreplay. The appetizer before the real meal. Except I was already full. I had eaten, enjoyed dessert, paid the check, and left the waiter a generous tip. Then somebody came running out of the restaurant shouting, "Sir, you forgot to have sex!" For years, I did not know that the word side existed. I only knew what I was not. Not a top, not a bottom, not versatile, not interested in anal. I had no positive language for what I was. I could only provide men with a list of services unavailable at my location. Then, one night, a man came to my apartment. His name was Eric. We had met through an app and had been talking for several days. He was 55, handsome, hairy, warm, and funny. Not Lalel funny. The man could actually construct a joke without using an eggplant emoji. We had exchanged photographs. We had flirted. We had talked about meeting. When he arrived, the chemistry was immediate. We kissed in the living room. He pulled me against him. I could feel how excited he was, and there was absolutely no confusion about whether I was attracted to him. My body had submitted all the necessary documentation. We moved to the bedroom. Shirts came off. Hands began traveling. For a few minutes I thought, this is it. This is what I have wanted. Then he asked, "Are you going to fuck me, or do you want me to fuck you?" I told him the truth. Neither. I don't do anal, but I'm very sexual, and there are plenty of other things I would love to do with you. His entire expression changed. He sat on the edge of the bed and began putting on his clothes. I asked him what was wrong. "You should have told me before I drove all the way over here," he said. He put on his shoes, grabbed his phone, and left. I sat there shirtless, aroused, and humiliated. He did not say we preferred different kinds of sex. That would have been fair. Sexual incompatibility is real. A man who needs anal sex is not evil, shallow, or defective. He is entitled to know what satisfies him just as much as I am. But Eric acted as though I had invited him over for sex and then announced that sex had been canceled. In his mind, there was nothing left to do. The kissing did not count. Oral sex did not count. Touching did not count. Mutual pleasure did not count. My erection apparently did not count. Unless one penis eventually entered one ass, the evening had become a fraudulent business transaction. That night hurt more than I admitted. I had spent most of my life invisible because I was gay. Then I came out and became invisible because I was not gay in the way other gay men expected me to be. A top looked at me and saw a man who would not receive him. A bottom saw a man who would not penetrate him. Neither stopped long enough to ask what I would do. They noticed only what I would not. Then came the questions. Were you abused? No. Are you afraid? No. Do you have erectile dysfunction? No. Are you sure you're gay? Let me check. Yes, still gay. Maybe you haven't found the right man. I had found many right men. What I had not found was a magical penis capable of transforming an unwanted activity into my sexual destiny. Some men called me inexperienced. Others called me inhibited. One man told me that sex with a side sounded boring. This came from a man whose profile described his complete personality as mask top hosting. Sir, you have contributed 3 words to human civilization, and one of them is a real estate arrangement. Let us not begin accusing other people of lacking imagination. But beneath the sarcasm, the shame was real. I began wondering whether I was sexually broken. I wondered whether any man could want a serious relationship with me. I wondered whether I should continue having anal sex occasionally just to remain eligible for love. That is the danger nobody discusses. Some sides do things they do not want because they believe the alternative is loneliness. They call themselves tops, bottoms, or versatile because those are the categories men recognize. They endure sex instead of enjoying it. They perform compatibility until they can no longer tolerate the performance. And eventually, resentment enters the bedroom. Not because sides are incapable of sustaining relationships, but because no relationship remains healthy when one person must abandon his body to keep the other person from leaving. I also learned that saying I was a side did not make rejection disappear. It simply allowed rejection to arrive faster. When I began putting the word side in my app profiles, my messages dropped. Men who had previously flirted with me stopped responding. Some asked what the word meant. Some immediately blocked me. A few attempted negotiations as if my sexual boundaries were the opening offer at a used car dealership. Never? Never. Not even occasionally? No. What if I'm really gentle? What if I'm really clear? At first, the silence made me feel even more invisible. Then I realized something. Those messages had not represented actual possibilities. They represented incompatibilities that had not yet been discovered. I was not losing relationships.
I was filtering out men who needed a different partner. So, I rewrote my profile. Side, very sexual. Kissing, oral, hands, body contact, mutual pleasure, affection, and exploration. Not into anal penetration. I did not write only no anal because I was tired of introducing myself through absence. No anal told men which door was closed. Side told them that the rest of the house was open. Did the number of messages decrease? Yes. Did the quality improve? Absolutely. Because disclosure is not only about avoiding awkward encounters. It is about giving both people the chance to make an informed choice before anybody is naked, emotionally invested, or standing in a bedroom pulling his pants back on. I no longer wait until another man asks whether I want to fuck or get fucked. I tell him up front. Not because my body requires a warning label, but because compatibility requires honesty. Some men still assume that being a side means I am asexual. That one always makes me laugh.
Asexual people deserve respect, and asexuality is a legitimate identity. But I am not asexual. I experience intense sexual attraction. I desire men. I want their bodies. I enjoy orgasms. I want to give pleasure and receive it. I can spend an entire afternoon in bed with a man and leave him smiling, exhausted, and possibly in need of electrolytes. I am not less interested in sex. I am interested in a different collection of sexual activities. Sex is the complete set. Kissing is in that set. Oral sex is in that set. Touching, rubbing, licking, fantasy, masturbation, penetration, and 100 other things are in that set. Topping is not sex itself. Bottoming is not sex itself. They are elements within sex. A side remains inside the set. Think about food. A vegetarian is not someone who refuses to eat. You do not watch him finish a full meal and ask, "But when are you going to have dinner?" He ate. He simply did not eat meat. In the same way, I can kiss a man, undress him, explore every inch of his body, bring him to orgasm twice, fall asleep with his head on my chest, and wake up still wanting him. We had sex. The fact that neither of us needed to submit an ass for inspection does not turn the experience into a book club. Men have preferences. One man loves kissing. Another barely opens his mouth and behaves as if his lips are protected by federal law. One man loves oral sex. Another loves feet. One man needs anal penetration. Another wants slow, affectionate body contact. Some men like leather, uniforms, toys, role play, or being called daddy by a man who is 47 years old and has a mortgage. Human sexuality has never suffered from a lack of variety. The problem is not that gay men have preferences. The problem begins when one preference is elevated above all others and declared the official definition of sex. I'm not asking tops to stop topping. I'm not asking bottoms to surrender whatever extraordinary spiritual enlightenment they have discovered down there. I'm not asking versatile men to select a permanent department. I'm asking for a place in the same sexual world. I'm asking gay men to stop treating side as a polite word for frightened, inexperienced, damaged, or boring. I'm asking men to believe me when I describe my own pleasure. Now, the question. Could I have a serious relationship? Of course. A relationship requires affection, honesty, trust, compatibility, communication, shared values, and the ability to survive assembling furniture together without filing for divorce. Anal penetration is not listed in the legal requirements. A relationship between two sides may be sexually abundant, A side can also build a relationship with a top, bottom, or versatile man who does not consider anal sex essential. The labels do not determine whether the relationship works. The agreement does. The real question is whether both men can build a sexual life in which neither feels pressured, deprived, rejected, or defective. Love does require a compromise. Consent does not. I will not participate in unwanted sex to convince another man that I love him. And I will not demand that a man who considers anal sex essential pretend that it does not matter. We may care deeply about one another and still be incompatible. That is painful, but incompatibility is not humiliation. We want different things is honest. There is something wrong with what you want is shame. And gay men should understand the cruelty of that shame better than almost anyone. Straight society told many of us that desiring men made us wrong. Religion told us our love was sinful. Our families told us we were confused. Some of us lost homes, marriages, children, churches, and entire communities just to say, "This is the person I am capable of loving." Then some of us finally entered gay spaces and heard another question. Yes, but are you loving him correctly? That is minority stress within a minority. I escaped one closet only to discover another one waiting inside the gay community. The first closet demanded that I lie about whom I desired. The second demanded that I lie about how I desired him. I am finished lying. I am not an incomplete top. I am not a defective bottom. I am not a versatile man who misplaced half the instructions. I am not sexually immature. I am not afraid of intimacy. I am not waiting for a sufficiently talented stranger to unlock my ass like an enchanted kingdom. I am a side. I love men. I love sex. I love the male body. I love intimacy that is hungry, playful, sweaty, tender, filthy, affectionate, and completely honest. I know what excites me. I know what does not. And knowing the difference does not make me less sexual. It makes me sexually self-aware. No gay man should have to endure unwanted penetration to remain eligible for desire. No man should have to perform a sexual role so other people can understand where to place him. And no one should mistake a boundary for emptiness. Coming out was supposed to mean that I no longer had to pretend whom I wanted. Becoming a side meant that I finally stopped pretending how I wanted him. This is the inner closet, a safe space for mature gay men who are still discovering that freedom is not merely finding the courage to love another man. Sometimes, freedom means finding the courage to look that man in the eyes and tell him exactly how you want to be touched. And if he puts on his clothes and leaves, let him leave. The right man will not look at everything you offer and see the one thing missing. He will see you. I love you all.